Hello, everyone. Fast bowling isn't just about effort or aggression, it's about sequencing, leverage, and how the body moves energy through space. Today on Cricktake, we're breaking down fast bowling through biomechanics and physics, using fast bowling coach Ian Pont's 410 pegs to explain where pace actually comes from, why some bowlers stay fast and injury free, and why others don't. My name is Hassan Ali, with me is Sharan Kumar, and today we are joined by physics PhD candidate Hamza Atar. Before we get into fast bowling, Hamza, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Right. Hi, I'm Hamza Atar. I'm doing a physics PhD at Purdue University. I'm an electrical engineer by profession and pursuing my higher studies at physics.
What would you say is your level of interest in cricket?
Define the scale. it should be right up there.
Right.
From watching to playing, starting from a young age, playing in the streets, playing at the backyard. I've broken numerous bats. I've thrown bats at certain people. I've hit my grandfather in the head with a bat as well. So I've lived through it all, and even throughout my PhD, I make sure to find time to actually go and play cricket at all different levels, because that's what keeps me sane. So I'm highly involved in it.
And what's your relationship with fast bowling?
Fast bowling. I actually discovered fast bowling quite late. So I look at fast bowlers around my age and people with similar skill set. Usually most of them found their calling quite early on, because once you decide, okay, you want to bowl, they are all like, okay, you want to bowl fast, you want to be quick, you want to be aggressive. Later on they sometimes find themselves, okay, I can bowl spin or things like that. Growing up, everyone by default wants to be a batsman. If you talk about cricket, they're like, give me a bat, I want to hit the ball, and that's it. Everyone wants to be a batsman. Initially, I started, I wanted to be a batsman as well. I started playing cricket, but then I realized, if you just analyze it and just be smart about it, you only really need a one bad ball for your innings to be over if you're a batsman. As a bowler, you can even have a couple of bad overs and still get to bowl. So still get to make a comeback. So just from that point of view, it's more efficient that you try bowling. So when I was in grade 8 or grade 9, that's when I decided, okay, maybe let me try bowling a little bit. And that's when I actually tried looking into this, getting into it, tweaking with my actions. My action actually wasn't the action I had like right now. That I changed my action, and that was in my junior year during my undergrad, that late. And then I started to find like a consistent action that I could bowl. So it took me that long to actually get into it.
For our viewers, junior year is the third year of undergraduate university. Yeah. So Hamza, you spoke about changing your action at probably the age of 20, 21.
Yeah.
What prompted that change? Was there any science behind it? Was it random? Were you just trying to emulate a different bowler's bowling action?
Both.
Okay.
First of all, by default, if anyone does not know about, you mentioned 10 pegs or any of these biomechanics, I feel like there is an optimization knob built in all of us, that when you start bowling, your body kind of tells you, okay, this doesn't feel right. Or there's an intuition that maybe if I turn this way, I feel like I can get more pace. So you start tuning yourself. And most of the time, you're maybe not efficiently, but going in the right direction. There are times where you could just severely harm yourself. So we'll talk about that later on. But that was one thing, because I wanted to be fast. You're fine if you're playing among your family and friends, then you go play with other people and you feel like, okay, to be competitive, I need to be fast. I need to improve myself.
Yes.
And then when I was actually bowling, I was not actually paying attention to my jump and gather. So I was just bowling, I was running in, and I kind of took a little hop and skidded and bowled. So then I was bowling in the nets to some of these people who were there in one evening during university. And one of the guys actually pointed out that your body is severely strained because you're jumping and landing on the same leg. And in the long run, your knee is not going to survive that.
So you kind of skipped into
I skipped and I took jump and landed on the same leg. And the other leg was just floating around.
Flailing.
Yeah, so my back leg was under like a lot of stress because of that.
Right.
I wasn't feeling it. I was young and I hadn't bowled that long as well. But they pointed it out. They're like, if you're ever going to play leather ball in the long term as well, this is going to be an issue. I had someone record a video of that and I saw and I realized, oh, okay, that is a problem. So then I started changing it. Okay, jumping on one, landing on the other. So I took a few months, took a break, started working on that. And once you're trying to get used to it, then all of these things come in. Okay, when do I take my jump? Where do I land? How high my jump needs to be? After the jump, what position my body in? Because what I was doing was basically just running, have my arm and foot stretched forward, a little skip, and my arm comes in and bowls. So I was bypassing all of this biomechanics stuff there as well. But that's when I started to actually look into it and get into it and see what the science says, what's the best way I can go about it.
So before your junior years of graduation, you were just trial and error method. You were trying what works for you, what works not for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking tips from the seniors.
Yeah.
Science came into picture very lately.
Yeah, because I mean, before that, we were only just playing for recreation. I never played like some domestic stuff or any of that. It was just like we used to play tape ball. We used to find time in the school. Like, okay, we have like 30 minutes of break. We want to play. Our school, I mean, the entire ground is football. Then the corner, there's a pitch. So you basically don't have a leg side and you have to play on the off. So that kind of a scenario. So it was mostly for recreation purposes. And over there, everyone was not even bowling properly. So you just bend and you throw and then you just want to hit them out. So when I actually started playing more and more often and I came to university where there were proper nets, proper setup, tried playing with leather ball as well, that's where people around me were also playing it quite professionally. So that's when I was exposed to that kind of an environment and I felt that, okay, now I think I need to make these changes because it's not just about playing recreationally because I started playing more regularly. And if you have a bad action, if you have bad biomechanics and you're not bowling that fast and you're just playing on and off, it's fine. But if you get older, your body starts becoming more frail and you push it more and you play more rigorously a lot longer, then I think biomechanics does have to come into play.
You weren't really coached. You decided to find
Zero.
a coaching manual of your own.
I've never had a coach. Once in my life when I was in grade 7, I was joined like an after school class where there's supposed to be a coaching. I only went there once because the coach actually did not know a lot. He was just a normal gym teacher. And the only lesson he gave was just sprint out to see, okay, what are the fielding positions called? And that's about it. So I actually never continued going there. So I haven't had like any kind of coaching.
Sharon, how did you learn to bowl?
I don't know. Like for us, it's basically I didn't play anything which is professional. So whatever I played for the school level or a college level, we learned from seeing on a TV, somebody who was taught. Leave about biomechanics. Our only aim was to make sure our elbow is straight. It is legal. That's the only rule we always follow.
If I go very back, so it's actually my uncles on my mother's side. So I had 2 of them. And one actually taught me to bat, one bowl. I mean, they were teaching me at the same time. And I was at my grandparents' house. It was in their garage. The cars were out. So we were trying to bowl. And that's when they were like, okay, this is how you run and you jump and you bowl. And I was like, okay, I see that. And this is how you should bat. And the first lesson in batting was, okay, if it's a short ball, you should move forward. If it's or back, or if it's full, you should be on front foot or back foot. That was the first lesson in batting. And in bowling, it was just take a jump and get into position and bowl.
And shoot.
But that's it. And the arm should be straight, like you said.
I'm also very similar to Hamza in the sense that I didn't really have a coach in my early teen years or in the beginning till I was 10, 11. It was my dad, and I learned to bowl because he is a batsman and he just wanted to bat. He had no interest in bowling.
That's
and
90% of people.
So I, as an only child,
dynamic.
I, as an only child, became a bowler. And what I learned through time was that, if I bowled full to him, if I bowled half volleys to him, he would smack me all over the park. So I started learning what works, what doesn't work, just by the way my dad batted against me. I didn't really have a coach or anything like that. But then, because for context, my father used to play for Mehran University in Sindh, Pakistan. He was an opening batsman. So he's very used to pace. Yeah. And I was a young kid and he would keep telling me, he was like, quicker. And I'd keep trying to ball quicker and quicker without really knowing what I'm doing with my body. And what I would think is, who's the fastest bowler in the world? Shoaib Akhtar? I'm going to try ball like him. Why? Because if his action is generating 150, mine should generate 120. That's the delusion you're in. And then same with Brett Lee's action. Though I must say, every time I tried to copy Brett Lee, the ball did come out quicker. And I think this is a great segue to get into the tent pegs. Brett Lee is that perfect recreation of what the 4 tent pegs represent. Now, where does this terminology come from? Essex-based fast bowling coach Ian Pont, who has worked with the Bangladesh national team, who's worked with the Pakistani national team, has worked with teams in the IPL, BPL, BBL, CPL, and has a crazy
All kinds of PLs.
all kind of PLs, as Hamza puts it. He has been a elite fast bowling coach for more than 2 decades. And he came up with this terminology called the 4 tent pegs. The 4 tent pegs, this terminology is borrowed from, let's say you're going camping or you go hiking somewhere and you decide you want to rest. When you rest, you set up a tent. When you set up the tent, it has 4 to 6, or sometimes if you have a bigger tent, 4 to 8 legs, if we can put it that way. Those legs are called pegs. And they ensure that the tent stays upright and stable regardless of the weather conditions around you. Ian Pont took this concept and transferred it to fast bowling. What if we created the 4 legs or the 4 pegs of fast bowling to ensure that the energy transfer is smooth and efficient and your body is protected in the process? But before we go into tent pegs, Hamza, can you tell us about run up and maybe even jump?
Yeah, it all starts, if you just follow the fundamental principles of physics, is that you're not going to create energy or pace out of nowhere, right? So it's all about transforming and generating that momentum to give it to your delivery. You can't just stand there and throw as fast as you can. You need to be able to generate it and carefully make sure that it transfers. So the first place that you generate is the run up. So you want to run as fast as you can, as long as you can. Some people are like right at the 30-yard circle. Some people have a shorter run up. It just depends on how much pace you can generate and how efficiently you can transfer it. So now run up alone is not enough because, like I said, you could be running in from the boundary line. But if your jump is not efficient enough, then you're actually losing all of that momentum. Then someone with a shorter run up, but with a much more efficient jump, can actually convert it. So if you're working with like 100% and your energy conversion is just barely 50%, you're only getting 50 out. Rather than that, if someone is working with, let's say, 80% speed and they convert 100% of it, they can just bowl much faster.
What do you mean by the efficient jump? What defines an efficient jump?
Efficient jump is that carries the momentum forward because you want to give the momentum to the ball. So when you're running, you actually have that pace, okay? Then you want to take that jump to gather yourself into your bowling action, right? So you want the jump to last long enough so you have time to gather yourself to come into that position. Now, once you're running and you take a jump, right, you have 2 components. You have how far you can jump or how high you can jump. And overall, your speed is limited, so your speed is going to be divided into how far or how high. If you jump very high, right from the get-go, a lot of that momentum is lost working against, like, let's say, gravity. I mean, that's the intuition that you have. So when you come down, your forward pace and forward momentum is going to be less because your velocity is now less, your momentum is less. So the momentum that you transfer from there on through your wrist, through your shoulder, it doesn't have a lot to go on. So your pace is actually going to die out.
So you lose your momentum in that unnecessarily high jump.
Yeah, you don't need it to be high enough, right? You want it to be high enough that you give yourself time, that you don't overstep, you can gather yourself. But if it is too high, then you're actually not gaining anything. So right there and then how to efficiently transfer from your run up to the jump will determine the starting point of how much momentum you have that you can transfer to the ball.
So if we can give a example of Ashok Dinda for a high jump, is it suit for that bowling action which we are mentioning about?
Yeah, he had a nice running action, right? He had a nice
Ashok Dinda.
Yeah, Ashok Dinda had a nice run up. It wasn't short, it was long. It was a nice pace. He came in, he jumped, his jump was high, and you could tell that when he reached his apex, he had already gathered himself. So the last half where he's coming down, he's just still. He's just still and coming down. So that time is wasted. And because of that high jump, you actually cannot generate that high of a pace.
So basically you're saying that you created a force.
Yeah.
And instead of using it in a
forward
direction, you are wasting it in a vertical jump.
You need some vertical part so you can stay above the ground, but the minimum of that is the time it takes for you to gather. Anything more than that is just wasted.
And you can look at, like, let's say Mitchell Stark recently became the most prolific left-arm fast bowler in Test cricket. Barely has a jump.
Yeah.
Think about it. And there are many other bowlers like this around. Jofra Archer barely has a jump. It's one of the fastest.
It's more of a skip.
Yeah.
But that's because they can gather themselves quickly and that's all the time they need.
It's required.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only requirement. You're not trying to impress anyone by jumping that high.
But in the world of cricket, sometimes most of the bowlers are fascinated, or the fans are fascinated to believe that jump creates more fancy or looks more attractive for a bowler? Is it just like a
I mean, that's going to be the case. Cover drive is very attractive,
Yeah.
but it's not attractive if you're nicking every ball. So I mean,
makes
so
sense.
I mean, it is attractive, sure. I mean, it looks nice if you have
Aggressive,
that. If
yeah.
you have that still frame, a lot of them also associate that if you have a high jump, you can bang the ball in, get an
Yeah.
aggressive bouncer in, and that looks really nice. You know, it hypes everyone up. For a Yorker or a full ball, you actually don't need that high of a jump. So I mean, there'll always be that wow factor, but I'll talk later about when you land, when we talk about this 10 peg. So if you're jumping high as well, and then you're landing flat, by default, it's ingrained in us. Like for example, when we were kids, if you're falling from a high place, let's say, what's your initial reaction when you hit the ground? You want to bend your knees. You want to bend your knees. You want to get in a stable position, and also your knees and spine takes a hit because of that.
Cushion the fall.
Yes, that's what you want. If you are taking a vertical high jump, although you know you want to bowl, by default that instinct kicks in. So when you're landing, then you also try to bend your knee, cushion the fall. That takes a lot of momentum out. And what I mean, well, you'll know when we're transferring, but that's one of the first 10 pegs, how much spring needs to be in that step, how important it is to land. But if you're cushioning that, and then you're cushioning that, and then you're coming back up, you kind of lost a lot of that vertical momentum as well that you got from that high jump.
I think we should now move into the 10 pegs because it's becoming increasingly difficult to avoid talking about it. But one thing I would like to add to Hamza's points, this is something that I learned at almost at the age of 17, 18, when I was playing for under 19 Oman, is that you have to ensure that not only is your run-up consistent and fast, but all your run-up or your steps are going towards the target. Right, a lot of individuals make this mistake, and I used to make it too, is that sometimes they will run in a zigzag pattern. Sometimes they'll come wide of the crease. Sometimes they'll try to fool the batsman, start from behind the umpire and then come out to the front. Those things I think used to happen a lot in the 80s, 90s and early 2000s. You had fast bowlers like Shoaib Akhtar, flailing their arms, like doing all of those things. But in fact, if you really look at it from a biomechanic point of view, that those are all examples of energy losses. So as harsh as that sounds. So now
what looks fancy doesn't always bring an value to bowling action.
And fast bowlers tend to have a little bit of showmanship. They are entertainers at the end of the day. If we need more proof, actually, I don't know, Hamza, if you watched, Kevin Peterson interviewed Dale Steyn on his latest show, The Switch.
No, I haven't.
And Kevin Peterson asked Dale Steyn that, off the pitch, off the ground, you're such a nice, pleasant guy. You're so nice to hang out with. What happens to you on the field? What was up with those deadly, scary eyes, like demonic eyes that Dale Steyn used to have when he'd get pissed off? And he said, it's entertainment, it's showmanship. When I go in there, I'm a character. I feel like I'm a gladiator on the pitch that has a point to prove. I can't be Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Nice fast bowler.
Also, if you're a fast bowler, it's not about wanting. You kind of need that aggression. So like I said, you're generating that energy pace from somewhere. If you get into the very basics of it, it ends up being just like chemical energy that's stored inside you. So fine, you bowled 1-2 fast overs. When fatigue starts to set in, what keeps you going? You need that adrenaline, the kick. That's where you draw your energy from, and that's how you're going to bowl fast. If you don't have aggression, if you kind of mellow out, then it's hard for you after that first spell.
Yeah, but there are so many anomalies. If you look at like Bhuvneshwar Kumar, McGrath, I never saw them being aggressive.
Glenn McGraw could be.
No, Glenn McGraw.
He was
aggressive in terms of his language, but not on the looks or the way he runs in. He always been consistent about his running and the action.
My memory of McGraw is different.
No.
I don't know.
Bhuvneshwar, I agree. There are anomalies generally. Bhuvneshwar, I agree. But I'm talking about, let's say, if you were wanting to hit like north of those 140s, paces like Brett Lee, Mitchell Johnson,
then it has
those
to come
guys.
from the inside.
Yeah, I mean, if like I said, if you follow basic biomechanics, go through the motions, you'll be able to bowl nicely, maybe even touching 130s, nice swing, a little seam. If you want that extra 10 kick of those extra speed, then you need something behind it.
You need that gladiator energy.
I think these young generation kids have cracked this. So I never seen any young fast bowlers who are calm as a Bhuvneshwar Kumar. All are like super aggressive.
But I think it also depends on who your heroes are today, right? Like I think with the Indian generation particularly, they've all embodied Virat Kohli's like attitude
Body
on,
language,
like they
yeah.
want to be that.
Yeah.
My only issue with that is that you need to have a performance like Virat to behave like that.
He can
and
back it up any
he
day.
could back it up, but can the current crop?
Yeah, that's
That's remains to be
question,
seen.
that remains
And
to
with
be seen.
Pakistan, it's very similar. We are a fast bowling nation. Even for our viewers, the cricket team in Purdue that is Pakistani is called speedsters. And we consistently have batting collapses. So that should tell you how deeply embedded fast bowling is in our
Yeah,
systems.
I think we have like 5-6 fast bowlers all from Pakistan, and on our day we're bowling really well, but we've even been bundled for like 24 and like a 12 over game.
So these things
Yeah.
can happen. Anyway, let's get back on topic. Let's start with, now that we've spoken about ensuring that the run-up is fast and consistent and structured. If we've been, I don't know if you all have been following the Fox cricket coverage of the Ashes. They show the stride length
Yes.
Yeah.
of the bowlers as well. And you'll notice that individuals like Jofra, Mark Wood, consistently are around that 24 to 25 ms
Yes.
pace when they run up.
Yeah.
And their stride lengths are incredibly consistent. And that is something they must have trained on. Because naturally, your stride lengths are never... Because when you're trying to run as fast as you can, your body also becomes a little looser as you sprint more and more. And that elongates your stride. But these bowlers are coming in with the same stride length every ball. And that's only that length then, that stride length really stretches when they deliver.
Yeah.
Up until that point, it is consistent. So now, and of course, they're running in a straight line straight towards their target. So now we get into tent peg 1, the first leg of fast bowling. And that is the gather, where the back foot makes contact.
So if you're talking about it from a biomechanics point of view, so I mean, once you jump and you want to do the gather, once you land, I think you have 3 options. Your foot can either be side on, semi side on, or facing forward. All of it's fine. Just like if you can be a front on bowler or a side on bowler, everything has its pros and cons. But what you need to make sure later on is that your front leg and your back leg aren't crossing over, right? If you land your back leg, it can be side, front, facing, whatever is fine. Then your front leg has just a limited area where it has supposed to land. If you make a bad landing, either with front or back, what will happen is you're twisting your body. Because you're going to bowl, the wicket is there, the wicket's not moving, the batsman's not moving, you know that's where you want to bowl, that's where your ball is going to be released. If the bottom half is not following that, the upper half has to compensate. And what you'll get is a twist in between. Not only are you losing momentum, you're putting your body through hell trying to correct yourself. So right there and then could be one of the reasons where a lot of these people are injury prone. And what you mentioned as well, some people, let's say for a left armer trying to go around the wicket, trying to go wide, and a right arm bowler tries to bring the ball, create that angle, brings that ball in. Sure, it can work, but then your foot is actually facing like second slip or third slip, and then you're trying to york him.
Bowling across your body.
Yeah, so you over there, I feel like you can generate a lot of pace, but that all of that is coming from your upper torso. So a lot of the stuff that we talked about, the bowling, the jump and the pace, a lot of that kind of got lost in between because you're now rotating it, you're using your abdomen to rotate and then generate that pace purely from your abdomen or your shoulders. So, I mean, there's a certain loss there as well. And you need your back leg to have a spring. So it's less about it being a soft landing, so you can't jump and land and then just cushion your fall. Like Ashan mentioned, you're going to lose it. It can't be stiff. You're going to break your knee. There needs to be an optimum amount of bend in there because you want it to act like a hard spring, right? So you want it to go down and then that's where you transfer the momentum. So the jump came in, you push down on the ground and that's where you generate the momentum going into the second tent peg. So it needs to be springy enough for it to jump forward, but if it is too soft, then you're just losing momentum to the ground.
Just for clarification, so this is also called the drop step. Why is it called the drop step? Because your landing foot that Hamza is talking about, it lands and it's supposed, the idea behind is that
Barely
your heel
barely
just
touches.
Your heel just touches
It's
the
like a
ground
tangent?
and is back
Yeah,
up again.
Okay.
back up. So it just your toes touch and you bring your heel as close as you can to the ground and then you back up for next.
Okay.
Now, this is something you have to practice without the ball for hours on end. It's not natural muscle memory. As Hamza had mentioned, like if you jump from somewhere, your
Yeah.
muscle memory is to cushion the fall. So here you're kind of teaching yourself, cushion the fall, but for the slightest of split seconds. The quicker you are, the more the energy transfer, right? So just to clarify for the different kinds of ballers, your back foot, as per the biomechanics and the tent pegs, if you're a side-on bowler, it should land parallel to the crease. If you're a semi-side-on bowler, it should be facing towards square leg, roughly, or backward leg, roughly in that direction. And if you're a front-on bowler, your landing foot needs to be pointing right at the batsman or the keeper, whichever one is easier for you. And a very important point he made was about bowling across your body. That means that when your rear leg lands, you should ideally be in the 90 to 85 degree range. Never come across. It's better to bowl open stance rather than go across, because if you go across, you're literally risking your back to go into an abnormal amount of flexion, which can obviously create injuries. For our viewers, a person who did an exceptional job at correcting their 10 peg one was Stephen Finn, English fast bowler. Whenever he used to bowl, his back leg or his landing leg would collapse into the stumps on the bowler's end. And that was because he was trying the drop step, but his foot was like dragging behind rather than giving him that push to push forward. So because of that, he would always smash the stumps, and when he smashed the stumps, it's dead ball. So what he tried to do initially was he would go wider off the crease to avoid that issue altogether. But when you go wider off the crease, the batsman kind of already knows that it's very difficult the ball will move away to the right-hander. So they just know it's coming in, and it made him less effective. Went back to the training grounds, to the drawing board, worked on his action, and this was the thing that he improved the most.
When you say side on, front on, or the mixed bowling action, can you just, in layman terms, can you explain what is side on or the mixed or the straight?
Okay, I'll tell the front on and the side on, and the mixed is in between that. So when we're talking front on, the easiest way that you can tell is that your chest while you're running and during the jump is facing the batsman. That's a
Fronting.
on. Yeah, that's a front on. Historically and little from experience, that gives you more control of where you can pitch the ball, but takes away a little bit of the pace. Compare that with the side on, which is what majority of the fast bowlers we can see, is when you're running straight and you jump, you're kind of rotated, and now your body is a little bit parallel. So your front arm is facing the batsman, and your chest is kind of pointing a little bit towards mid-wicket or something like that.
So basically, that time batsman and the bowler are kind of parallel.
Kind of parallel.
Because batsman is looking towards a point and bowler is
so
looking towards
now
a
the
mid
bowler
wicket.
is looking around his arm, and the bowler's head is also rotated from its torso compared to the front on. So that's why sometimes it's difficult if you're bringing your head down easier, so to know exactly consistently pitch the
Really
ball.
wanna pitch.
But it gives you more like a cartwheel kind of energy to get more pace in.
Semi-side on,
Is
perfect example is James Anderson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mixed action.
Mixed action. That's mixed. It's not completely open, but it's there, so it kind of reaps the benefit of both.
Okay. When you are speaking about the front on bowling action, if I am wrong, just correct me. Is the Wasim Akram the front on?
Yeah.
Like I can see that the straight chest to open towards the batsman.
Straight
Yes.
chest open. Even in the gather at landing, his chest was always pointing. He had a very front on action. Philander had a front on action, Flintoff as well. So there are many examples out there. So it's not like there's an inherent bad or good strategy. It's whatever works for you.
But in modern cricket, I don't see anybody coming up with that kind of front on bowling action.
Most of people, like Hassan also mentioned, I mean, it depends on who your heroes are, who you want to see as well. And also, if you talk to just a random kid, okay, yeah, you want to bowl fast, okay, fast bowling, okay. He's not going to tell you about line length. He's not going to care about swing.
True.
He's going to be like, I need pace. Why? Either I'm taking out this guy's ankles or I'm taking out this guy's head.
Yeah, true.
Two targets. That's it. So they want to bowl fast. So if you tell them, okay, you know, this thing you might not be consistent, but it'll give you pace, they'll be like, say no more. So they're going to bowl that one. And that's so. And that's how it's going to be, and that's how it is. And later on, 10 years later, they'll be like, okay, so there's a thing called biomechanics. So,
And lastly, side on.
Yeah.
Who are our most iconic side on? You know, it's really funny. One of the first names that comes to my mind is Mashrafi Murtaza. He was the embodiment of that classic side on.
Yeah.
You literally see like the inside of his
Yeah.
shoulder, and then he would like turn in.
Yeah.
Great use of his shoulder, and hip rotation was amazing.
Yeah.
But again, we're getting into tent peg 2.
Yeah.
I want us to move to tent peg 2. I think when we have gone through the tent pegs, maybe we can then review the entire process once
Yeah.
so that everyone understands it. Let's move on to tent peg 2. We've spoken about the gather, ensuring that you kind of have that drop step.
Mm-hmm.
And now probably comes the most debated thing, and which is the front foot impact and having the braced leg.
Right.
The braced leg concept has spread like wildfire and has transformed fast bowling. Can you start off like a little by explaining it? I feel like a lot of our viewers might know what it is.
Yeah.
But what does it do? What are its advantages? And does it really protect bowlers from injuries?
Okay. So this injury part, I mean, I think we can have a discussion in parallel for all of it for injuries.
Yeah.
My view is that this human body is not meant to sustain fast bowling by default. So you're prone to get injured. But brace leg, disclaimer up front, is something that inherently scares me a lot. So I've bowled as well for a fair bit. I was not able to bowl with the brace leg because of a mental block. So what a brace leg is that you come in, I mean, you jump, you gather. We talked about landing the back leg. So when you're landing the front leg and then actually bowling your delivery, if your leg is completely straight, your knee is locked. So from your pelvis down to your toe, if it's like a straight line, that's called a brace leg. Okay, that's your knee is completely locked. Contrary to that, if you're bowling more like, you're running like a rotating wheel or something, your foot lands in, your knee is a little bit bent, like you're taking a jump or walking, and then you continue into that delivery. So that's where the knee naturally bends in. Advantages of brace leg,
Pace.
pace is pace. It's the same argument. Pace is pace. So what you want to do, we talked about as well, that you want to transfer the momentum. So you start with the running and everything. So the key is, how can I more efficiently transfer the momentum? So here is the contradicting thing where I mentioned that when you land, you don't want to soften your blow because you're losing momentum. Now, naturally, if your front leg also bends in, you're kind of you're softening the blow a little bit as well. So you're kind of losing some of their energy there. If it's completely braced, so what you're doing is you're literally treating it as like a rigid stick, like, those people in high jump. When you're talking about high jump, you want to get high, you want to get forward. Just make it a rigid stick,
Then
hurl your body, use that as a pivot, hurl your
Pole
body.
vault.
Yeah, exactly. Hurl your body. Sorry, that's a long shampoo. So if you hurl your body and then continue, so they do not care about what the leg is doing. You essentially want to treat it as rigid as possible so that that's your pivot. You can rotate the rest of your body around it and bowl as fast as you can. A pole can break.
Yeah.
Similar to that, our body, our knees are susceptible to that damage. That's where the risk comes in. And I think that is one of the most high risk, high reward kind of a scenario. That definitely is going to give you a lot of pace. And when I say give you a lot of pace, I mean it in the sense that it's not taking away your pace that you've already generated. So if you soften it, if you collapse your leg, you're taking away some of that pace. How much varies. I mean, some people drop a few clicks depending on how much they bend. But if it is doing the perfect braced leg, you're not supposed to lose any kind of pace on it.
As you were mentioning about this pivoting the whole energy
Yeah.
and bracing your leg, is this the reason why most of the bowlers suffer this ACL?
ACL is not that common of an injury, but a lot of knee injuries do
injuries.
occur.
Yeah.
Knee injuries. I mean,
We have a bowler in our, so to our viewers, we mentioned speedsters. We have one bowler in our team who has the braced leg, and he is a fitness susceptibility every few matches. Right? It's not that he has a problem every match, but every few matches. Why? Because even just playing at this, I don't even know if we can call it semi-pro. Yeah, whatever level we play at, it's taxing just on a bowler who's bowling 2-3 overs. He's not even bowling a full quota of 4. So imagine what these guys, and I would like to refer to one of our episodes. We did an episode on the Tendulkar-Anderson series. And sorry, the Anderson-Tendulkar series, the ATT series. And in that we discussed Bumrah's action. right? And in that series, the biggest controversy was that he was being rested and rotated and was not playing every match, even though India were in must-win situations.
Yes.
And in that, we kind of explained the front brace leg as kind of like his body crashing into a wall,
Yes.
right? Because all that energy
Yeah.
gets stored in one place when that front leg gets braced.
Yeah.
And then it has to be released on when you can move to tent peg 3 and 4. So when the tent peg 2 happens, and Bumrah is on record talking about it, is that his landing is what causes the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And the front brace leg, you add to that the awkward delivery point, you add the hyperextensive joints, which make him more vulnerable to injuries, and you have a recipe of a somewhat broken fast bowler.
And what you can visualize in this sense is, like, let's say, I mean, you have a ball, tennis ball, anything, and you're bouncing it off a wall, right? What happens is the ball goes in and the ball comes back because the momentum gets transferred to the wall and then it comes back. If it's instead of a wall, if let's say it's a trampoline, much more softer, but the ball coming back is not going to be as fast. So, okay, rigid, nice transfer of momentum, ball is fast. Now, if you keep hitting that wall 1,000 times at this again and again and again at that pace, what's going to happen? You're going to create a dent, it's going to break. Same thing, your knee. Your knee is taking all of that damage because that is the bracing point which it absorbs all of the pressure of the run-up, of the jump, and then transfers that to the delivery. So that is our most vulnerable point.
And I think this is a very important understanding to have, that these athletes work on strengthening the surrounding muscles of their knees. They have really strong hamstrings, they have really strong calves and shins to support that strain.
Yeah.
But as up-and-coming cricketers or amateur cricketers who do not have access to the facilities of fitness levels that are required, they need to think twice before they try and emulate their heroes with the front base leg.
Yeah.
Because their bodies, one, will not be strong enough to basically bang into a wall 1,000 times a day. And they should also learn from the fact that these elite professional athletes, despite all the fitness regimens that they have in place, can't keep themselves fit despite having a biomechanically efficient action. Makes me wonder that maybe Mitchell Starc plays till the age of 35, 36, 37 because he didn't destroy his knee.
I agree.
Might be a reason.
So
You never know.
should we give a disclaimer at the bottom saying that don't try this at home?
Yeah.
Don't try this at home, yes, but then what about Brett Lee? One of the differences that people always draw between Brett Lee and Shoaib Akhtar is longevity. And they say that Brett Lee's action was the reason for his longevity, where Shoaib Akhtar, again, like Bumrah, hyperextensive joints, flat-footed, really bad knees. Doctors told him at the age of 1 or 2, you will not be able to run.
Yeah.
Guy becomes the fastest bowler in the world, but his career almost has half the matches that Brett Lee has.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because of the bowling action. But then you look at the Mark Woods, the Jofra Archers, the Sean Tates, the Mitchell Johnsons, not Mitchell Johnsons, but Sean Tate, Archer, Wood, etc. Really good biomechanically sound actions. Adam Milne, New Zealand, when he came onto the
Adam
scene,
Milne was the next big thing.
Rapid.
Next big thing.
Now, poor guy goes for base price in the IPL.
Yeah.
Right? He's not even considered a good buy
I
anymore.
mean, Matt Henry has had more longevity than Milne at this point.
Yeah, but he's not the 150.
Exactly.
So people don't enjoy it as much.
Exactly.
That's why pace is pace.
Pace is pace.
Now that one thing I'd like to draw a parallel to, Hamza, we discussed this off camera, is that the second tent peg is identical to the javelin
Yeah.
second tent peg, if we can put it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right, and we'll have a visual on the screen. We could see how a javelin thrower and how a fast bowler are not too different when they reach this point, right? Which is number 2. They both have front brace legs. Okay, let's move into tent peg 3.
Okay.
Now we have all this stored energy. We've braced our front leg, and now this energy has to transfer and has to move forward.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, we talk about the release point. The ball release, tent peg 3.
Yes. That is when you want to now transfer the momentum back from your knee into your delivery. And there are multiple steps in the way. So, I mean, a lot of people give the example of the tapered pendulum, right? It's pretty popular. It's out there. How you transform, if something has a large mass, give you same momentum, and then it transfers the momentum to an increasingly smaller thing. At the very end, the smallest thing is going to have more momentum. It's just conservation of momentum, right? M goes down, V goes up. Now, so if we're bowling we want there to be multiple steps. We want to add in those discretized steps to make the final delivery just a flick of the wrist, just a small mass. If you treat everything like a single body, you took off, now you have the momentum, and then you treat the entire body like a single rigid mass. It has a lot of mass, and just throw it. You're not adding a lot. So your velocity is not a lot. It's going to be the same thing that you're running in at. So where do you add that extra momentum? Now steps come in. You have your torso. You torso put in, you torso or back. I mean, depends on how you see it. You bend that, you add extra pace. Next thing comes in your shoulder, right? You rotate your shoulder, your lats come in to add that extra pace. Then finally your arm is coming in, and at the very end, it's the wrist. So it's like you're charging that, and then you're focusing all of that one by one into the delivery to get it out there and get as much pace out there. So this is the kinetic transfer of momentum. And that's the main idea behind this one, to efficiently go from that position to a release point.
10 peg 3 is also often explained using windmill terminologies. Why is that?
Just to get the idea of rotational velocity. So if you have a windmill that's rotating, so your rotational velocity, if you look at the tangential velocity, it's going to scale with the radius. So the bigger the radius, the more tangential velocity you can have. So it just comes in that how high you want it to be, how far away this separation can be, so that if you rotate it, and you can just understand it from principal momentum, right? Moment, like force into distance. If I do not have that leverage, if I'm screwing anything, or if I'm using like a wrench, if I do not have that leverage, I'm not going to put in that much force. To increase that leverage, I just reach as far as I can from the pivot point, which in this case is the shoulder. That's my final pivot point before the wrist. And then I generate a lot of that velocity by maximizing that distance. If I'm just there and I'm just barely have this very close by, then all of that force is not going to translate into that much velocity.
Ian Pont would always say that when you're about to release the ball, make yourself as big as possible. Right? And that's what that essentially means, is that, again, down to physics, the wider your flaps, the more momentum you will generate.
It's about moment.
Of torque.
Definition of moment. If you have a fixed amount of the force that you can put in to get more torque, just increase your distance from the pivot.
And then when we come on to the delivery point, right? This is the 10 peg where you're actually about to release the ball. What occurs here? Because this is very important. This is where the wrist flick comes in. This is where a lot of individuals are questioned about their elbow positions and whatnot. So how critical is that? And what is this terminology that they use, that imagine you have a string tied to your... That's your forward leading arm, right? Forward leading arm?
Yeah.
You yank it in, and this one should come forward. But when this one comes forward, it needs to be right above your knee. Not like this. But if you were to draw a line, they would be in one line.
So starting off with the bent elbow, like I said, everyone wants to be fast. And the consistent theme is the more points that you're adding, you're like at every time, your core is adding some pace. Your shoulder is adding some pace. Your wrist is adding that final flick. If you're not generating that much pace as an amateur, you feel like, okay, what's my natural way to generate more pace? It's to bend it and get another kind of a pace from your elbow, right? So if someone, let's say, I mean, even to us, when we're fielding, if someone from the boundary line is throwing, they're not going to throw with a full arm action. That's not going to reach, right? So your natural is to get it as far as fast as possible. You bend your elbow, get that flick in, and you throw it. So that's what...
But the pivot movement change here, so...
So, and now the thing is, this is much more vulnerable. Your shoulder has a lot of padding. So the muscles there, they can protect your ball and socket joint. That's fine. These are just a couple of tendons right here. If you break them, then they are more susceptible to it.
This was Sachin Tendulkar's biggest problem, by the way.
Tennis elbow. Exactly. And if once, and even sometimes you'll notice when I used to play and I was quite young and I'm fielding at the boundary line, or if I haven't bowled in a while, you come and bowl, you see a pulsating pain, sharp pain, and then pulsates right to your palm. So you'll feel that. and you that is your body naturally telling you that, hey,
Solid.
even though you might not know biomechanics, but this is me telling you to stop. To do not do this.
And I think a lot of that starts with we see so many of our like cricketing heroes throwing the ball sidearm, right? But whenever I try that, I get a pain from up
Radiates.
my elbow all the way till my shoulder here,
It radiates.
all the way till my shoulder here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a very funny question.
Yeah.
I know, you don't judge me for
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
So when I was like 7 or like 8, 10 years, when I was like 4th standard, 4th grade guy,
Mhm.
when we were very new to fast bowling, like we played our gully cricket, so
Yeah,
most
yeah.
of the thing we bend the elbow and that's the bowling.
Yeah.
So when we started learning the fast bowling as a simple rule to follow the elbow straight,
Yeah.
we couldn't generate the pace.
Yeah.
So I had a very funny idea.
Yeah.
So we used to drive cycle, like learn cycle. We
Yeah.
had a skill to leave the handle and run the cycle.
Yeah.
So once I tried to ball on the cycle, I came in
Okay.
very fast and tried to
Okay.
ball.
Yeah.
If the definition of momentum is velocity and the mass,
Yeah.
I'm coming with a lot of velocity
Yeah.
and I have a certain mass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why my momentum is not transferring the ball? Why I am not able to
Yeah.
generate that pace on the ball?
Yeah.
I know it
Yeah.
sounds funny, but
Yeah.
I can you just
So
try to
instead
explain
of-
me in terms of physics?
Yeah.
So instead of using your legs to run,
Yeah.
you use the cycle to run in.
Yeah, because my mindset was the faster you run, the faster you ball.
That's completely fine, and I think the first intuition for like run up, that's what we're doing, right? It comes in when you try to transfer that. So you want to transfer that momentum, and by transferring that, you need that brace leg. So you're completely fine. But if you're running in, I would say reach the pitch, brake,
Disc brake.
brake, completely brake. Your front wheel should stop. It should
Right at the
lock.
crease.
Now what will happen?
Fall forward.
Exactly. So that is your arm coming in
Into that.
naturally and generating that kind of pace. Now
Okay.
keep doing that. What's going to happen to your
Why do you
brakes?
think Haris Rauf always falls?
Yeah.
It's because the degree to which his leg straightens varies. So when
Yeah.
he gets it really right, it's too much momentum for him to control and he falls forward.
I think I was not exactly wrong. I
Yeah.
was 50%
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, you
I
were-
did 50% right.
You did the safe part, but then your body naturally told you, do not brake.
Brake.
Do not brake.
And that's what mentally stops you from bending
Bracing
your
the leg
yeah.
as well. Now if you do that, what's going to happen to your brake pads and your wheel
Done.
after 50 of those deliveries?
Yeah.
That's all of that damage is on your knee now.
So basically, you are trying to connect the front wheel disc brake to
To
a
your
front
braced leg.
or the braced leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
And okay, I want to touch upon a point of debate here about the tent peg 3.
Yeah.
Growing up, especially like with the previous generations, we always heard that they always want you to ball tall so you generate that extra bounce. And for me, especially, I'm only 5'8", so when I was trying to become a professional fast bowler, my coaches in the under 19 level would always tell me, Hassan, you're getting too low. Stay tall, ball high arm action, you'll get bounce. I was already a pretty high arm action bowler, which is why I was able to make it that far, was because I, despite my height, could generate bounce.
Yeah.
But, and also naturally, my line and length is back of a length.
Okay.
So I was always hitting the top of the bat naturally. So they wanted me to push that a little bit more. But what I felt, and that at that time I was still getting exposed to biomechanics slowly. What I learned during that time was that every time I tried to ball tall, yes, I would have more control. I could nibble the ball a lot more, but my pace was not there. I remember I kind of felt like Sean Pollock. I don't know why. I just felt like whenever I would try to ball tall and just try to keep the line length in control, I felt like I was trying to emulate Sean Pollock. Very simple action, very high arm release, very smooth. I think the right word for him would be metronomic, right? Just keeps going.
Yeah.
Just keeps going. He's like a machine. Muhammad
Yeah.
Abbas is also
Muhammad
like that.
Abbas is like that.
Very machine, like just keeps going back and forth. So my understanding, once I got into biomechanics, once I worked with Ian Pont, was that he would say that bowling tall equals medium pace.
Yes.
And he would always give the example of, he said, think about power sports. Think about where power is generated. I gave the example of javelin. Also think about in rugby when you have the scrum.
Yeah.
Right? When
Yeah.
they throw the ball in from the side, they're all getting low and then they push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they talk
Explosion.
about, let's even look at cricket. When they talk about power hitting, they always talk about the lower base being stable so that you can have that energy transfer.
Yeah.
That's where your upper body, the flexion, all of that takes over. And Mark Wood literally collapses
As low as possible.
as low as possible. And there's no doubt that he's the fastest bowler in the world. Whether he stays fit or not, it's another thing.
Yeah.
But Hamza's already said that humans are not supposed to bowl fast.
Yes. It's not natural. I mean, you can. It's not natural, but yeah.
So can you like comment on this myth a little bit, or do you think it's not a myth, it has some relevance to it?
I agree with the fact that you mentioned that bowling tall means medium pace. But I think an important distinction that we need to make. There's one thing as bowling tall if you're naturally tall. So if you're getting a naturally steep bounce, right, that's one thing. So a bouncer does not necessarily mean medium pace. You can have a fast bouncer as well. A lot of that does come in from your natural height and from that natural steep bounce. You'll see that a little bowlers on the shorter end, they still can bowl a bouncer, but a batsman can easily plant himself on the back foot, play him, pull short day in, day out, right? Because they do not have that extra pace. So a fast bouncer is difficult. Now, if you have that natural bounce, that's fine. If you do not, let's say you're in the middle category and you do not have that natural bounce, you need to compensate for that. So you need to get the ball to bounce, right? That's where bending the leg, having a tall arm, when bowling tall, you're trying to emulate someone taller than you, right? So that's exactly what you're trying to do.
That's true.
So you're trying to compensate. Like, let's say if I have like a Mohammad Irfan coming in and just bowling like this, and I have someone much shorter than that, he can try, but that's what he wants, what he gets naturally. So
You're trying to be someone you're not.
yeah, so naturally, I would say I'm a strong believer that your body kind of puts limits on what are going to be your best deliveries. It doesn't limit you from bowling other deliveries as well, but there'll always be more deliveries better suited for you, determined by your physique. So now, to compensate for that, you can bowl in tall as well. Bang the ball short. A lot of that momentum that you generated now gets converted to vertical one because you want the ball to rise. What happens? Same thing that happened with the jumper as well. Because you're putting more in vertical, your forward is going to suffer. So the ball is not going to be as fast. So which is why bowling short does equal medium pace, but that's when you're trying to compensate for that, for some natural bounce that you do not have.
And one clarification very important to make is that sometimes bowlers or up and coming bowlers think they have to bowl from the 12 o'clock position. That's not true.
No.
It has to be around the 1 o'clock position, 1:30. That's the ideal spot. When you put it here, you're actually limiting the rotational force of your arm, or of your shoulder rather.
Yeah, some try to be as parallel as possible, try to get swing in, keep the wrist straight, come in as close as possible, especially if you're trying to swing the ball this direction as well.
That's the main thing.
Because you, for left armer, you want to swing the ball away, so you want to bring it as close as possible. You can generate some swing, that's fine. But if you're talking about, let's say, an express delivery, fifth stump, nipping off after being pitched, then you should stick to this 1:30 p.m.
It's because of this coaching manuals that if you're trying to bowl an in-swinger, make sure you kind of brush your right ear.
Yeah, you can right past your ear.
Yeah,
that's it, and that's how you can bowl this. This one is easy. I mean, for right arm and for left arm the other way, this one is easy. This comes naturally. That's why you'll see that bowlers always have a natural swing. So if you're trying to go the other way, so bowling from here and trying to, there's no pace. There's no pace.
This is why I think Praveen Kumar had a very minimalistic pace in his bowling.
Yeah.
He has similar actions. He always try to do this, trying to brush his ear.
Yeah, but you'll get swing, right?
Yeah. But you'll get a swing, but at the cost of...
At the speed of 115, 120.
Yeah. I can listen to Seem Akram chatting with the boys before every match, telling, okay, this is how you bowl in swing, out swing. That's fine. But you need
the
to...
pace.
To get it with the pace, there's always going to be a naturally preferred swing as well, and you'll get the other swing as well. That's why if bowlers that can swing both ways at pace are gold dust.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, a really good, if any youngsters are watching this video, I think we're all a little older now, so we can refer to youngsters. If they're watching these videos, one of the best drills you can do for wrist control is just get on your knees 6 feet away from the ball. If you're a right-hander, put your right knee forward, put your left knee on the ground, okay? And just go into your delivery stride, go through the 10 pegs without thinking about your lower body, just your upper body. And at this point, just work on the wrist.
Keep releasing.
And honestly, if you want ball in swinger, try to release it like this. If you want ball out swinger, I don't want to like be arrogant or anything, but there came a point where I would release the ball from the same place, and just by the wrist, I was able to move it both ways. But that meant that I was practicing without a ball for hours. Then once I got the ball, I would just practice for 1 or 2 hours the in swinger. Then I'd come back the next day, ball the out swinger for 1 or 2 hours. It's just about muscle memory. A lot of fast bowling coaches as well as commentators say, he needs to flick his wrist,
It's not that easy.
It's not natural. You have to practice it.
Yeah.
And that practice comes against the wall, just doing this all day. Why do we see so many bowlers before they warm up do this?
Yeah.
It's to open
It's
their
a flick
wrist
the
up.
wrist.
Yep.
That's it.
You know, I think a lot of people sleep on this fact, and I don't feel ashamed saying this. I learned wrist work from Srishant. Srishant literally, even when his run up, his wrist would be going like this.
Oh, beautiful wrist position.
And
When he
seam
releases
and
it.
Muhammad Shami is another great
Yeah,
example of a proper seam position. Right? When Shaheen is on top of his game, his seam presentation is top notch. Right? When we know that Haris Rauf is bowling well, his seam position is top notch. Right? These things go a long way. Arshdeep Singh, whenever he's bowling, and in times we see his ill discipline, we see those wides down the leg side, it's just because he's losing control over the seam. He knows he wants to bring the ball in. He knows he's trying to in swing it, but the degree of control over the seam is missing. And where does that come from? Wrist. And I can't do it anymore.
And to add a little bit to that, it's even more difficult with the new ball.
Okay.
Yes.
The control with the new ball, it's shiny, it's slippery. To keep that control is much more. It's easy to do with the old ball. So when they used to be reverse swing as well, that part's fine. You have much more control. But when
Grip
the
ball a lot harder in reverse swing.
When the ball is new, to have that control, it is quite difficult.
So, what we hear on a TV when the commentator says it is very easily mentioned to flick the wrist, as Hassan was mentioning, or trying to swing the ball both ways, whatever the easy terms they can put. I don't think so. That's so easy to execute on a field.
It's not easy.
But they are professionals.
But exactly. So if a commentator comes in and we're playing and he's like, "Oh, flick the ball," I would be like, "Okay, let's meet after the match to discuss this," but because I cannot talk like that. But if they're talking about someone who is a professional, who has gone through years of academy, who is representing their national team, putting in those hours is a bare minimum.
Yeah,
agreed.
So there is no reason why you cannot learn. I mean, yeah, you might not be great at it, but there is no reason why you shouldn't go and practice it. And if you practice it enough, there's no reason why you cannot develop that memory. It's difficult, yes. So is hitting a double century.
Yeah.
But people do it because they're professionals. They've trained for it.
And the another factor is the pressure and the level of sports they are playing. So even though you have all the muscle memory training, like trained like a karate kid, but you have skill and you have a great training. But when you enter an arena with that kind of pressure, I don't think so. You might lose everything in a second.
That's why you put in all the hours outside in the training, so that it becomes muscle memory. And in times of tension and
don't have to think about it.
You don't think, you just execute. Right? A lot of bowlers and batsmen talk about being in crunch situations. Like some people would ask, how did you think of bowling this ball? Or how did you think of playing this shot?
Easy. I didn't.
I just did it.
That's
very true.
Yeah,
It's very true. Sometimes you just do things and you're like, I don't know how I did
The worst thing that captain and surrounding fielders is like, if the bowler is getting hammered in a crunch situation, they'll have a small hurdle. There doesn't need to be a long discussion.
Yeah.
It's okay. They're there to play as well. They're hitting you. Okay. Go back to your basics, and I think you can compensate for that. And I feel like a lot of bowlers, especially frontline seamers, when you bowl first couple of overs, now are under increasing pressure to get wickets up front. Because of the way the game has developed, they know that the batsman is there to get 1 or 2 boundaries in the first over.
Yeah.
They have this at the back of their head. Now, previously, if you're bowling in, the batsman was the one under pressure. The new ball, the ball is going to swing in. They try to play in their shell. The bowler is like, okay, I'll be on top. I'll get an outside edge. Now, the bowler is like, okay, 1-2 balls, he tries that. Anytime the batsman starts middling, the bowler starts thinking, okay, Should I ball cross seam or cutter? The ball is new. There's shine on both sides. Why are we even thinking about variations before the 10th over mark?
Yeah. So you are trying to say bowlers are getting a bit defensive to compensate that power play benefits.
Yeah, and because of this slogging favoring rules cricket that have emerged.
Yeah, and I just want to say to our viewers that we're spending so much time on 10 peg 3 because it is the most difficult to master.
Yeah,
because it's not only about the brace front leg, it's about making sure all of the previous 2 10 pegs are successfully transitioned into 10 peg 3.
Yeah, and that's why they're called 10 pegs. If any one of them goes away, it doesn't matter with the remaining 3.
Right.
You're gone.
So we've spoken about the complexities of 10 peg 3, how it has many different factors that need to click together.
Yeah.
10 peg 4, where it all ends, and the 10 peg 4 is, I guess, unique in the sense that the knee drive of the trailing leg, of the leg behind your landing foot, then really has to rotate, come through and finish at your hips towards the batsman, and then you deviate away from the pitch so your follow through is not damaging the condition of the pitch.
Yeah.
What else would you say is very key about 10 peg 4?
But I still think how I visualize 10 peg 4 is I think of it as a safety net for 10 peg 3. That we've built up this hype about 10 peg 3 and a lot of viewers might think, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't brace my leg. Like why is naturally fast bowling out there to get my knee? 10 peg 4 is meant as like a safety net in the sense that if you have a nice 10 peg 4 with 10 peg 3, you can still remain safe. That's because after you've released the ball, okay, the ball is gone. Now your body still has that momentum going in. How do you dissipate that? So you want to dissipate that in a safe manner. Start in a most unsafe way is stop. Your car is going at 100 miles, instant brake. Screenshot. Okay.
Screenshot.
Yeah, you're gone. So you ball and then you stop. So now all of that momentum your body was carrying, in that instant, it has given into your legs and your knees and everything, and it has taken all the impact. It's the same thing when you take a catch. You have a fast catch, you don't want hard hand. Soften it, carry it, safely dissipate its momentum. 10 peg 4, you're running, you're jumping, so your legs are kind of like driving a cycle. You're still in that momentum. You braced your leg, you delivered the ball. Now let that leg come in as much as you can. Let your body bend as much, and then continue in that nice follow off to slow down with each step and deviate away. So that's why it's important, and it's important in conjunction with 10 peg 3 because you want to safely dissipate it away. Now that's also what you can think of is generating pace. It helps because that's what you visualize. Like for example, if you think, oh, okay, I'm going to bowl and then immediately stop. So right when the second you're delivering the ball, you're like, okay, now I'm going to start getting up and start stopping. You're kind of getting rid of all of that pace that you accumulated. If you're like, okay, let's throw the ball, let my body, this motion that I have, this pivot I've taken, let all of it go forward and I'll then slow down. So that mental block, that instant impulse lets you put in that pace. And what Hassan mentioned as well about, string to your arm as well, also comes in that it's a little bit in relation with both 10 peg 2 and 3. You have your front arm, it's like you're grabbing someone by the collar because it's hard to have your arm and then just bend your back. You want this arm to go down, provide you that counteracting weight to pivot your body. And then, so you're going through that cycling motion. And in this 10 peg as well, this arm goes back, this comes in, your leg, back leg that gave you that extra spring comes in, touches, and then you're ending there next to your knees. So it's just a completion of the motion, a safe dissipation of all the energy that you have collected.
And just to make the front upper half more clearer, when your arm comes through, when you have delivered the ball, your right arm must kind of touch your shin and slap yourself on the rib. Yes. Not literally, but that's the sort of...
that's the projectile that it should follow.
It should follow. Okay. And when this arm, the right arm is going down to your left shin and hitting your rib, the right knee is driving through your hips and landing while your right arm is going down to the side. Yeah. So what this does, it's kind of like in batting as well. When you hit a
Follow
shot,
through.
you have a follow through.
Follow-through.
If you cut your follow through short, you're disrupting the motion. But when you let your arms go all the way through and you finish it by hitting yourself on the rib,
You're completing the
you're
cycle.
completing the motion.
Do not check your shot is what you tell all batsmen. So
Yeah.
do not check your delivery right when you're delivering it.
Mhm.
That's where the follow through and 10 peg 4 comes in.
And again, that this is a similar parallel to golf as well, right? You have your swing. They ask you to finish right above your shoulder. Why?
Yeah.
So you don't disrupt the motion.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here.
And if you're talking about, transfer momentum, once you've hit it, the momentum should essentially all be there.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, why should I continue it? Because when you're thinking about that follow through, right at the instant when there is contact, if there is a follow through or not determines how well you hit it or how well you deliver the pace. It's hard for you to say, okay, right at this nanosecond the ball left, now I can stop. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, because like put it in an example, I have created 100 units of momentum
Yeah.
on the ball.
Yeah.
99% went to the ball.
Yeah.
But still you have a residual
Yeah.
momentum of 1% that you need to dissipate very slow and steady.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to
to
dissipate.
protect your
Yeah,
body.
to protect
Yeah,
your
and
body.
that's where the safety net aspect, that you need that to protect your body. If you do not have, follow through is bad, ankle twisted, collapse, knee, back injury. There is a whole list of injuries that you can take. Just if you have a nice, safer follow through, it's more consistent and you can have a more long career.
And one thing that, we need to understand is that even the most seasoned fast bowlers struggle with the last 10 peg. If we watch Jofra Archer in slow motion, when Jofra Archer finishes, his hand finishes between his knees.
Okay.
He's not really going all the way to the side. But what's really interesting to see is that in that second Ashes Test match where he turned up, even though England had pretty much lost, he gave Steve Smith his follow through was proper. He's hitting his rib. He's hitting his rib. He's hitting his rib. But at times he doesn't. But now that we have discussed what the 4-10 pegs are, a clarification I'd like to make is that in the beginning we were talking about how the side-on, semi-side-on and front-on bowlers differ. In 10 peg 3 and 4, they are identical.
Yes.
So your approach, your first 10 peg, your second 10 peg can, your first 10 up until your first 10 peg can all be different. Even 10 peg 2 can differ a little bit, right? Because the semi-side-on and side-on bowlers still have to engage their core and their hips into the delivery stride.
Yeah.
But then once you reach 10 peg 3 and 4, it is an identical process for all three kinds of fast bowlers.
Because the purpose is the same. Just dissipate that momentum. That's it.
Yes.
Keep yourself
So
safe.
I think we should, if we want to divide that 4 tens into two different halves, one is behind the stumps, one is in front of the stumps.
Yes.
And behind the stumps, it's all about conservation of momentum.
Yeah.
And after the stumps, it's about release and then dissipation.
Yes.
So we have 3 stages of momentum essentially occurring here.
So now the cricket podcast is turning more into a physics talk.
I mean, I think he's been very gentle with our viewers that he hasn't gotten into like the physics jargon. But he is touching upon those concepts at the very
I
core
think
of it.
it is very much important.
And one thing, Hamza, I'd like to bring to your attention. Cricktake generally likes to look at women's cricket. And we've even done 2 episodes on it. And there have been episodes where we've dedicated segments to women's cricket. One unfortunate thing that we have noticed is that in the world of women's cricket, there's a lot of research missing on whether the biomechanic efficiencies that they have around men will apply to women who are obviously biologically different from men.
Yeah.
Do you think that these discussions or these touch points about biomechanics are applicable to women's cricket, or does there need to be a separate research or a separate bit of conjecture around women's cricket and biomechanics? Because when we were researching a couple of months ago, we found that on women's fast bowlers, there have only been 9 studies ever published. And they were all published in Australia on Australian female fast bowlers. Everything else
Sample
is on
size.
men's.
Yeah. I think I have 2, not opposing views, but it should not differ that much because the physics itself is the same. When we're talking about biomechanics, it doesn't matter from where you're drawing that energy. Yeah, muscle composition is different, muscle strength is going to be different, and that's going to pitch in and how much pace you can put in, how efficiently you can transfer it. But the goal is still the same. You want to run up and deliver the delivery, and it should apply across the board. However, the way that you execute it might be a little bit different. So the principle behind it is the same. You want to do this. Now, is there an efficient way, more efficient way? Naturally, like you said, more studies need to be done. Am I going to bring my arm from 130 to how much bend, how much twist can my body handle? I mean, example of this is like in basketball, right? The goal is the same. You want to throw in that. You'll see that initially when it started, a lot of those male basketballs, you have the shoot, and the women, the most popular was a double hand shoot as well, right? Because it compensates. Your goal is the same. So you're transferring the same thing. If your body cannot just do it as far with like a single hand, you compensate with a double. But the underlying mechanics is still the same. How you execute that can vary, and that depends on there needs to be more studies on what works and what doesn't. But the underlying principles, the guiding principles, should still be the same, in my opinion.
Because one thing that we do see from those limited studies is that female fast bowlers suffer the same injuries.
Yeah.
Because the principle of bowling remains same.
Yeah, basically.
I'm just supporting his point.
Yeah, so you're rotating at the same pivot, you're bracing the same thing, your body, the same hot spots in your body are taking the damage. So it should still be the same.
So now that we've, I just kind of touched upon how they have the same injury points. From personal experience, I'll start us off. When I was working with Coach Ian Pont in Essex in England, I spent 3-4 days just bowling without a ball. I even showed you the videos off camera. And I'm just bowling. I have no ball in my hand. It's a really strange feeling, but you keep bowling. And then obviously stand next to the wall, 6 feet apart, wrist flicks, trying the different tent pegs in isolation, walking through them, then jogging through them, then sprinting through them, and then getting a ball in your hand. There's so many steps. And what I consistently found was that when I was bowling without the ball, my front leg was braced. My tent pegs were coming through pretty decently. I wouldn't say they were perfect, but they were a lot better. The moment I got that ball in my hand, all of a sudden I didn't have as much confidence in my knee and my knee bracing. Because the few times that my knee braced, I felt an unfamiliar sort of discomfort in my hamstring, calves, and knees. Right? Like at that time, I was 17 or 18. I had been playing cricket from the age of 5 or 6. I had been trying to bowl fast since the age of 9, 10. So obviously I had developed whatever muscle memory I had. Was it technically perfect? Of course not. They had a lot of issues, which is why I ended up in that coaching institution to begin with. But even after being told what to do and what not to do, I pretty much fixed all of my other tent pegs. And even the upper body for tent peg 3 was sorted, but the lower half of the brace leg was just not working for me. I just didn't have the confidence that I just always felt my knee would snap. My knee would snap. I didn't feel like my knee was strong enough to take the impact of me running in, jumping, and trying to bowl at the time 130 odd. So now when I bowl, I don't even have the other tent pegs in place, and I don't think I cross 120. I'm a very slow bowler now. But at that time, when things were efficient, when things were still working, everything was fine except my knee. And what we see around the world is that a lot of bowlers have the braced knee and some don't.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on?
Confidence. It has to do a lot with confidence. But to just break down what you said, there are two aspects to it. First off is majority of the players we see. I'm not talking about, so like for example, if you're talking about countries that have a nice infrastructure that you develop, majority of the bowlers, when they're coming and trying and giving trials, like fast bowlers, they have not learned from coaches. They're just bored and they have listened to what their body is saying. So their technique is not going to be perfect. And that is a given. What differentiates a good bowler from a bad is how quickly can you unlearn those things and then come back better. So if you are rigid in your ways and you know something that is not working, then you've kind of hit your plateau. So you need to be able to deconstruct yourself or your view of what the bowling is, and then be able to come back. And you have to be mentally strong for that. There's one thing physically being told, okay, you can do this. But to know that, okay, everything is out the door, implement this, get the same confidence to bring the same pace, you'll be out for like a year or so. To mentally be able to go through that journey, that is difficult. So a lot of times you talk about, mental strength coming back from injury, because it does play a role. And the second thing is having confidence in your body. Now, early on, we are oblivious, so we have that confidence. That's called the false confidence. Everyone thinks like they're the next big thing. They can ball the fastest. We don't care about our body. When I was first given the ball to bowl, okay, let's play cricket. It's like 5 overs a game. I was not thinking, what's this gonna do to my body? I was just thinking, ball fast. That's it. So you don't actually think about it. So you have that confidence. Then when you're up and coming in your career, now you see, I need to do this to improve myself. Now you're more conscious of it. So now you're conscious of all your muscles there. Now you're more conscious of the pain in your knee. I mean, I'll go on a limb. Maybe you've had that kind of discomfort at times, but you did not think too much about it when bowling, 1 or 2 deliveries naturally. But now because you are more aware of it, now you're like, okay, so I'm bracing my leg. So now there's something at the back of your mind that, this could damage my body. And that shakes your confidence a bit. So if you have enough confidence in you, enough, I don't want to say passion, you can still have passion while caring for your body. So if you have enough confidence or enough guile or enough aggression that you're like, I'll get over it and trust your body through it, and you can come out on top. And that's fine. And sometimes you do not want to take that route because you could have that guile, you could have that ambition, you could have that aggression, and then do that, trust your body. But doesn't mean that you won't get injured. And once you get injured, your confidence shatters again. So it's a risky move. You have to take that leap of faith. Depends on how much confidence you can have. If it works out, you'll be like, I trusted myself. If it doesn't, you'll be like, I should have followed biomechanics or trusted my body more. So it can go either way. So it all sounds nice in retrospect if it works out or not.
So it's the fast bowling is also about psychological than physical.
Yeah. There's a lot. That's why when a lot of people mention, fast bowling mentality, this guy has that fast bowling mentality. You need that. This is where it comes in. Doesn't matter if you're bowling. It's less about he can hit me out, then I'll just come back. It's about you pushing yourself first, then the batsman.
Persistent.
Because in a bowl, right? Like let's say if a ball takes in like 10 seconds to bowl from start to end. The batsman is actually facing it for like 1 second or so. The rest of the 9 seconds, the bowler is actually pushing themselves to get there. So if you have the mentality to push yourself, then you can bowl that good delivery.
Yeah.
He's talking about remodeling actions, and apart from Imran Khan, I can't really think of many bowlers who remodeled their action. Sharon Imran was pretty much a mixed, sometimes front on, sometimes side on kind of bowler. He was still a prolific wicket taker, but he did not have that pace or anything like that. But in his mid-20s, I think with someone named Mike Proctor who helped him, and there's also another individual called John Parker, a New Zealand batsman at the time who was with Mr. Imran Khan at Worcestershire in 1971. And this is when Imran was still in his Oxford days. He's still trying to find a way, and he changed his majors a few times. We also know it's well documented that he struggled academically in his first year or two because he was too busy playing cricket. But what really happened during this time was something significant. Imran had bowled with a certain bowling action till a certain amount of time. And then this breakthrough came with this John Parker, named New Zealand Kiwi batsman. And I'll read this excerpt from the Cricket Monthly's article that was written by Francis Kelly in August of 2016. And he said, I offered Imran to remodel his action, and his resolve was typified by the tale of him paving his own passage to England in search of a cricketing career. And from there, he talks about what it was that he changed in Imran's action. He said Imran had an action like Jeff Thompson, the great West Indian fast bowler. His right leg would go behind his left foot. His right leg would go behind his left foot, which is his brace leg foot that was supposed to be, and with his back facing the batsman.
Oh, okay.
Can we envision that a little bit?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So this guy was essentially turning his back towards the baller and then
So there's a lot of twisting of your torso.
yes, and it would put a huge amount of strain on his back,
Yeah.
left hip,
Yeah.
and left knee.
Yeah.
Very Malinga-like, actually, if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And so he said, we spent many of evenings at the school gymnasium practicing and practicing. It was a basic technique centered on getting your right foot parallel to the ball crease. Tent peg 1. This helps you get side on, and then you can coil yourself up while in the air. And then you open up. And that's the biggest change we saw in Imran, that once he remodels his action, he had this great like front leg landing, very Dennis Lilly-like, huge trailing leg comes out in front, fully stretch out, lands. He became very side on, so he swung the ball prodigiously. And the whole idea of remodeling his action, as Parker put it, was that when you land and transfer momentum from your run-up, you propel your weight onto your left foot. And as you're doing that, your arm comes over and you enter a fairly smooth follow-through.
Yeah.
It wasn't very difficult to do, especially for a guy like Imran who remodeled his action in his early 20s, something no one had ever heard of before.
Yeah.
And what followed is history.
Yeah.
Right? So we have such an iconic example of an individual changing, but it also speaks volumes of the character of Imran Khan. How many ballers today would have the opportunity to not only go back and fix their action, but come back successfully? I would also like to mention James Anderson. We've mentioned him slightly with his mixed action. Anderson worked on his action even in his 30s. And what we saw from the biggest difference between the 20s and 30s was the 10 peg 3. Because he was a mixed baller, what he would always do is that sometimes his front foot would be pointing towards fine leg, sometimes it might point towards second slip and whatnot, because his upper and lower body were not in sync. But he really worked on his balling action, and in his 30s, we finally saw James Anderson with a braced front leg. Not only did he develop that braced front leg, he continued to maintain his fitness record.
Yeah.
So my question to you, Hamza, is that we had Imran who remodeled his action, but towards the end of his career, basically stopped bowling because his back just wouldn't support him.
Yeah.
And he played the 92 World Cup primarily as a batsman.
Yeah.
Then you look at James Anderson, who already was a pretty fit and fully available bowler to begin with, remodels his action a little bit, just the 10 peg 3 and 4, and continues to be available. On the contrary, we see bowlers like Mark Wood, Jofra Archer, Shaheen Shah Afridi. I don't even know if Shaheen is 145 plus anymore, so I'll keep him on the side.
Yeah.
But Mark Wood, Jofra Archer, Bumrah, touch and go 145. Individuals who are considered the premium elite fast bowlers of the world are made out of glass, despite having biomechanically efficient actions. We've literally done a video on Bumrah's biomechanics and how efficient he is. But where is his availability? If biomechanics and science is the guy, science is the man, why is it not helping our fast bowlers stay protected and fit? Is it workload management?
I would think so. Two things. I mean, yes, science is the guy. If science is telling you it should be fine, it's not like it's making a false claim. 10 pegs are meant to protect you, and 10 pegs are there so you can bowl fast efficiently. However, they are not the holy grail. Okay, so they are not all encompassing. So it's not like, okay, just follow 4 steps, you'll be fine for the rest of your life. There's a lot more to it. These are just the guiding principles, number one. And number two, 10 pegs have been designed, yes, there's a lot of study been done, have been designed to tell you the guiding principles, but they work perfectly in the most idealistic world. So if you have the ideal scenarios, if you have the person who is doing everything perfectly fine in ideal conditions, follow that, it works. But there's still margins of errors, right? And there are lots of them. So at every single step, there is a chance that you can mess up. And why I said brace leg scares me is because the margin of error has the highest risk over there. If you mess up,
you're done.
Yeah. So follow through your ankles, all of those things, your back during that. So throughout this, when we're talking about all the 4 steps, you'll see that it's never that, you can get injured, but follow this 10 peg, you'll be perfectly fine. Anytime we talked for all of them, we told them that this is what biomechanics says you can do. However, these are the repercussions, right? So there is always a disclaimer that, yes, this is the most efficient way for you to transfer momentum and ball fast while not destroying your body in the get-go. But every time, like I said, I'll go back to my first comment, every time you bowl fast, you chip away. That part of your body starts to break down. And over time, if enough pieces fall off, you start to become brittle. And that comes in workload management, knowing yourself, and when you're bowling, how you're managing your spells. If I am bowling back of the end, do I actually have to go and crazy and bowl in like that 150 if my body is not able to take it? If I'm bowling, in what conditions am I bowling in? If I'm bowling at Sharjah in the heat of it and my body's cramping up, do I need to push myself for that? So all of those things you can follow, you can be biomechanically fine, but if you are not taking care of all of these things around it, that doesn't guarantee that you will not have any kind of an injury. And then once you come back from injury, it's all about mentality. So coming back from an injury, all of these players who have had long careers, none of them has a career where they haven't had an injury.
Of course.
Everyone has an injury. How you come back from it, what you prioritize compared to all of those PLs we're talking about, compared to that, and having yourself available for the test matches. Test matches, one might argue, is more taxing. It's more difficult. So why not just go play like all these Premier Leagues, for example? But to be able to make those short sprints that regularly throughout the calendar year, it is difficult. To maintain yourself throughout that is quite difficult. So you will have injuries, but you'll need to come back from it, and you'll need to decide, how do I manage myself? So priorities come in, mentality comes in, all of these external factors. And that does not have anything to do with these 10 pegs.
And I think we also need to remember that any of us who have played the sport at any level, let's say you've been bowling for a few overs or you've been batting for a while, when fatigue starts to set in, you tend to do unnatural things with your body. Why? Because your body isn't moving as freely or as it usually does. And so if that fatigue sets in and you're here bowling with this biomechanically efficient action that is not really supposed to be something that humans should do to themselves, the risk that you are putting yourself under just because of a little bit of fatigue is exponential. And that is the point.
And it scales up if you're a fast bowler.
Yeah.
Because ego sets in. You said you want that aggression, you
important
want
point.
that adrenaline, you want to push yourself. If I have, let's say, I mean, no disrespect to spinners, but if I have a spinner setting and if they have fatigue coming in, okay, they'll know how to step back. Or what's going to happen, they might not pitch as full, they might not put as much top spin, maybe flatter delivery and like a nice, maybe in the slot. But when a fast bowler is like, oh, I'm being taken off because of fatigue, that's where the ego, the mentality we say that you need to have to bowl fast, it kind of works against you. Because
it's like a double-headed sword.
Yeah, exactly. So you have the bit like, oh, wait, why can't I do this? I can do this. And then you go and then your body's like, guess what? You can't.
And so one thing I want to ask, and I don't know the answer to this at all, is that when we're trying to bowl fast and we just try harder, or you kind of like tense up your body, or like, ab main aur bhi zor lagaunga. What are you actually doing when you're applying more zor or more power? What is it that you're actually putting under strain? Is it your arms? Is it your back? Is it your legs? What is it that's making you give you that feeling that, yes, I put in a lot more effort there?
Everything.
Okay.
If you follow the natural action, if you have a nice action, and if you continue with that action, at no point will you find the need to put in force. When you're running in all the way to your delivery, your body is generating that force consistently and you're transferring it. If at any time you feel like, oh, I need to put in force, that's because you're not generating it. And anytime you do that, you're pushing yourself, whether it is arm, wrist, elbow. So if you are bowling, that's why everyone says, oh, he has a very smooth action. They have a very natural, nice bowling
Equal
action.
distribution of energy.
Exactly. Everything is going in smoothly like a well-oiled machine. Anytime you feel like the machine starts to rust a bit, you'll start hearing those noises. And if you try forcing in on any part, it's going to break. So naturally, throughout the cycle, it should be very smooth, very systematic. If any point you feel like you have to put in the extra effort, not only will you bowl bad deliveries, wides, down the line, no balls, things like that, but your body is also actually under immense
So
stress.
is it good to compare the whole cricketing action, the 410th, as a bowler? Is it good to compare with a 4-cylinder engine? Like each cylinder has to fire at a right momentum, right time. If you put an extra amount of energy in some or the other way, you're gonna lose a momentum in some other zone.
In some sense, I think that can be a nice analogy, because you have to have all cylinders firing, and it's a well-oiled machine, and each part has its purpose, and it has to work
At the right time.
At the right time, and in conjunction with all the other ones.
Yes.
So if any of them have an issue, the entire thing is going to break down, right? So you don't have to get rid of all four for your engine to break down.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything has a place, a time, and everything has you have to look at
Synchronized manner.
So when we're discussing it, we're talking about them. Okay, 10 peg 1, 2, 3 in isolation, but entirely all we've talked about in this entire video is how to bowl just one delivery, starting from a run up all the way to delivery. So this entire discussion has been just bowling one delivery, and all of those things have to come together. And what we've fleshed out in over an hour is supposed to happen within a few seconds. Again and again and again and again.
Added to them, you need to have a skills,
pressure, environment, crowd around you, batsmen coming at you, 6 balls in an over, and if you take test matches, 90 over a day for 5 days.
Oh my God. It's not, it looks very easy on a screen, but
Not easy at all.
I actually always tell people this, that so many people have this lazy excuse. Oh, cricket's so boring. There's so much standing around. It is one of the most complex sports with a very steep skill attainment level. It's not an easy sport to pick up. It's not someone can just come in and pick up a bat and start playing. It's tough.
yeah.
And these complexities illustrate that toughness.
It also speaks to the volume of the fans and the players. So you need to have that little bit of a crazy in you to pursue this and see this through. You need to have that crazy amount of passion inside. It's not something that you can just do, just like an nice Sunday evening, like a leisure sport. No, you need to have some driving force if you're going to go through it.
So we spoke a lot more about the art of fast bowling, the physics, the biomechanics, whatnot. And in the core of everything, we just touched a topic called the 410 pegs. It's been a major point of discussion around the fast bowling. I'm a bit curious whether this same concept of 410 pegs is even applicable for the spin bowling.
For spin bowling, that's actually a good question. I am not entirely sure. In spin bowling, I think it's different. I think it has to be different, because in spin bowling, your main goal is not to bowl fast and give a lot of momentum, right? So it's less about your run up and you don't have to worry about your follow through as well. What matters in spin bowling is more about flight, how much revs you put in.
Yeah.
So it has a lot to do with your
The
wrist
wrist.
and fingers rather than your shoulders and
And the
rest of the
torso.
body. So I would think that they're different.
Even for the new modern day spinners who ball 95 to 105 kilometers per hour.
Modern day, you say, but I saw Shahid Afridi, Daniel Vittori bowling those armor balls.
Anil
Fast
Kumble.
ones. Yeah, exactly. So it has always been the case. And it's actually a nice strategy if the batsman is expecting like a nice loopy spin and you just
Bang in.
just bang it into the stumps. See, a lot of those wickets are just because of that. You're not looking at some natural spin. And a lot of people try using that if you don't have a big deviation off the pitch based on your spin bowling. But yeah, even though in that scenario you have some momentum coming in, you have some leg going up, you have a little bit of a follow through. I'm thinking about, let's say, Shahid Afridi, who actually had his arm stretched out in front and coming in. So that part was quite similar to a fast bowler. But like I said, because he is not dealing in 140 clicks, he doesn't have to worry about a brace leg. He doesn't have to worry about a follow through. So if you tell your pacer, you can bowl 80, okay, you can bowl 80 or 90. He doesn't have to look at the 10 pegs to begin with. He can just walk in, jog in and bowl however he want because the body is not going to take in as much of a damage.
And go home safe.
Yeah, go home safe, be happy, just get knocked all around the park. I mean, if you're fine with it.
Hamza is sounding like a Virender Sehwag who don't consider off spinners as a bowler.
Well, On this rather positive note, I would like to bring this episode to a culmination. The 4 tent pegs and the discussion we've had around them show us that speed is created by loading early, blocking hard, releasing late, and letting the body decelerate properly. And you miss any of those 4 tent pegs, and you have the risk of energy loss. But we've also discussed in detail that one size does not fit all. And we have many different fast bowlers around the world, like the Mitchell Starks, the Wasim Akrams and whatnot, who do not have the 4 tent pegs perfectly nailed down or did not have them. Yet they are the most prolific left-arm fast bowlers to have played the game. I think fast bowling isn't magic. It's physics at the end of the day. And if it's done in the right order, and if you consciously pick the right trade-offs between the tent pegs, you can not only elongate your career, but also fix those minor inefficiencies that might be holding you back.
Yeah.
And with that, I would sincerely like to thank you, Hamza, for coming on our episode.
It was my pleasure. I thoroughly enjoyed our discussion.
For what was an extremely natural, for our viewers, unscripted episode. We were just talking, we're sharing our stories, we're sharing our knowledge. And my name is Hassan Ali. With me was Sharon Kumar and our chief guest of the day, Hamza Athar.
Yeah.
And behind the camera, like always, is Rupesh Atmuri. This is Cricktake. We'll speak to you some other day, some other time. Take care and bye-bye.
Thanks for watching till the end. Now it's time to like, subscribe and follow. We are also available on other platforms like Amazon Music, Spotify and Instagram. Please do follow and support.